Hi, Leo. Well, I'm gonna try to show you some of the tools that I have in my collection. So, a long time ago, I was trying to learn metal engraving, and I got a basic set of these 4 blades. And even though they're not really for wood, they're for metal, I'm gonna show you what they do because this is probably similar blades to what a wood carver would use, although they had some different ones that were a little bigger. And because wood has a grain, you know, things are different. And yes, I did practice a little bit. So this is a triangle shape. It's beveled up from the side, triangle from the front. This is a tiny blade that kind of resembles an X-Acto blade. Same with this one and this one. So the truth is, and this is, your dad will probably call this a tack hammer, but when I was learning engraving, we called it a chase hammer. The reason we call it a chase hammer is because the hammer chases the end of the blade. So we're going to try to show you how this works a little bit. So first I'm going to show you how it's held, which is like this. So it's tapping on this end, the blade's on this end, and you have to hold it at a certain angle. If you hold it too upright, it's just going to dig a pit. If you hold it down level, it's going to create a little ribbon of the material you're digging away. Now I'm going to try to close in on that and not chip off that little ribbon that I made so that you can see it made a little ribbon. So that's probably how the engraving was done. See, and it made just a little mark on the filigree that we are, whoops, cleaning today, that I am cleaning today because I don't have a mouse in my pocket. So I've been working on this and the difficulties that I've found. Well, the difficulties are this. I am using a rotational tool. So the Dremel and the Dremels and the Fordham are rotational tools. Now, your dentist, when they clean your teeth, is using a vibrational tool, and that makes a little circle of vibration. Professional metal engravers, and nowadays with even carving, they use a pneumatic tool. And the pneumatic tool does the same thing that this blade and this chase hammer do. It makes a tap, 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 tap. I found out that I could not be an engraver, not because I didn't have the skill, but because my hands are small. And the person that was training me to engrave, teaching me, he had fat fingers and muscular fat hands and wrists, which I don't have. I have widow wrist. So it caused me to have a lot of tension in my elbow, shoulder, and neck to the point to where I was just physically unable to do it. Now, what should we talk about? Should we talk about your grandpa and grandma? Yeah, I think so. So your grandma, Grandma Marge, my mom, and your grandma's mom was a Republican. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm saying that's just who she was. Um, she did have a tendency to fall for logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are statements that seem logical on the surface, but they are a fallacy, which means a fallacy is a falsehood. So you'll experience this probably, hopefully, in your English classes. If you write something and you say, let's you write, they say good things come to those who wait. Your teacher's going to come back and she's going to ask you, or he is going to ask you, first of all, who's they? Because we want a definite answer on that. They, is this a statistician? Is this your pastor or your priest? Is this your mom or dad? Is this somebody who's done research, or is it just some guy off the street? Then they're going to look at it and what things come. What things? Good things come. What kind of things? They want real definitive answers. And if you go to college, they're going to ask, they're going to, critique your writing that way. Then they might ask you, well, who's those? Are those professional people? Are those everybody? Is it who's those? Good things come to those that wait. And what is waiting? Is waiting just sitting around doing nothing? Or is it taking some sort of action, such as, and see, this is the problem with cleaning this with the Dremel. I have to do it really lightly because the Dremel spins and then it walks. And it walks where I don't want it to go. And go back. What is waiting? Is waiting doing nothing? Or is it studying? Is it taking some form of action? Or is it sitting on your butt and doing nothing? I'm going to tell you right now, good things do not come to those people who sit on their butts and do nothing. So, that's what I mean by grandma would fall for logical fallacies. Your grandpa had a tendency to look at the gray area, the parts between the good and bad, because you have to determine, is a tool, like the tool I'm using right now, is it good for the job or is it bad for the job? Your grandma would say, well, it walks, therefore it's bad. Your grandpa would say, it's saving your hands, therefore it's good. So, everybody's viewpoint is different. And opinions are not facts, and those two statements are opinions. So, Grandma was a Republican. She tended to fall for windmills are bad because birds fly into them, or vaccines are bad because there might be poison in them because the lady at the herb store told her so. So, you kind of got to look at, and how is the lady at the herb store or vitamin store, how is she a professional to determine if poison is in or out? And what is considered a poison? And what is listed on the ingredients? Because, like with vaccines, they have to list everything that might or is touching that vaccine, that liquid. So they count the nitrogen that it's cooled in. They count the mercury in the thermometer that goes into the nitrogen that it's cooled in. They count the eggs, because some vaccines are made from eggs, so they count the eggs. Some people are allergic to eggs, therefore they will have an allergy to that vaccine. Some people develop an allergy to eggs as they age. All these things come into play when you're making a decision. So there was one really good thing that your grandma taught me that I would like you to consider. And this is, if you are going to work with the public in any way, shape, or form, you're an architect that draws up commercial building designs. You're dealing with a client. You're a tax preparer. You're dealing with a client. You are a cashier at a grocery store. You're dealing with a customer. You're dealing with the public. So there's 3 things that you should refrain from and limit in your conversation with these people. And that is sex, religion, and politics. Because even though you mean well, you can always offend somebody if you hit one of those 3 topics. What your grandpa taught me was the safe topics. So, the safe topics are the things you need to live: food, shelter, water, electricity, gas. Those things you can talk about. You can talk about death, and to a certain limitation, you can talk about taxes. Those are the things you talk about. Oh, don't forget air. You can talk about weather. Try to refrain from the other topics, though, because they're touchy subjects. Even if you are really, really a man of faith, the person you're talking to may have had other experiences that lead them to a different opinion or truth, their truth. Now I'm going to blow your mind. Truth is not the same as fact. Truth is dependent upon opinion, experience, and history. So one person's truth is not the same as another person's truth. But fact is a document. It is a documented thing. I spent $1,000 on medical expenses, and here are my bills and my checks to prove I paid it from and to the doctor. This is a document. This is fact. 1 + 1 = 2. It is a fact. And don't get complicated on me and put in algebra, because that's not fair. Fair is another thing that can be iffy, can be circumvented. What is fair for one person is not always fair to another person. But that word is used quite often. It is not fair that you did this to me. Well, it might not be fair to you, but it might be completely fair to someone else. So, we talked about Grandma's politics. We talked about Grandpa's politics. I could tell you more stories about Grandpa that are in relation to this chair. Yes. And I might have told you this one already. When I was a little girl, before I could remember, and about 5, I would sit in this chair every night with your grandpa, and he would watch the news, and he would have a beer, while Grandma got dinner ready. And I got to sit on his lap and steal drinks of beer. Little sips of beer, not much. No, I'm not an alcoholic now. People say that I could have been, but I'm not. I just don't care for that loss of control. I only have one vivid memory of it, but Duran, your Uncle Duran, and your grandma, Aunt Rita, and your Grandma Noel tell me that it happened all the time, so I have to take their word for it. So that's really all I have for today. I used up a lot of time, and I do want to get this published tonight. I will try to show you some more tools later, but oh yeah, I was going to show you one other tool. Hold on. We're going to make okay, because I should put it on. I am going to show you one other tool, and I'm going to do it by showing you, oh no,